Welcome back to TBRD. On this week's vlog, I'm going to be talking about flashing your ECU and doing some engine tuning, specifically looking at a Stage 1 tune from Bren Tune, and also going to get into how that works, what it's addressing, some factors in the decision as to whether or not you as a rider are going to go ahead and move forward with something like an engine tune, some things that you're going to want to consider. I actually talked directly with the service manager today at BMW, at my dealership of choice, Bob's BMW, and I have some information specific to the topic of engine tuning and doing a flash of the ECU, and also some more information from them related to the engine stalling issue, which I again talked about last week. So I'm going to provide that in today's vlog as well. So I want to say welcome back to all my subscribers. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you are so inclined, I'd ask that you consider hitting that notification bell and subscribe button. Your support is always greatly appreciated, and be sure to leave me a comment, especially on today's topic, because it is a good one. So, engine tuning, and specifically talking about Bren Tune. If you're not familiar with Bren Tune, they provide a great service. Not a paid promotion here. As a matter of fact, I don't have a Bren Tune currently, but they really do some wonderful work. So what Bren Tune is going to do with their Stage 1 flash, and I'm speaking specifically about the product that they deliver with the handheld. You can send your ECU off to them. I don't recommend that if you're going to do this for a number of reasons. It's worth the extra, I don't know what it is, $80 to $100 to make sure you get their diagnostic handheld device, and we'll get into that in just a minute. But what Bren Tune is going to do is they're going to try to address a couple of issues on this 2020 S1000XR in their Stage 1 flash. So first of all, they're going to be trying to address the throttle restrictions. They're also going to address the exhaust valve and the RPM limiter on the bike, as well as, and this is a big one, the fueling mixture, or fueling if you will. They're going to try to address the air-fuel ratio or mixture. And all of that is also going to lead to more power and allegedly a reduced running temperature of your motorcycle. So they're going to try to take the throttle restrictions across the board out of the system the way that it is designed and delivered from the dealership. And this is going to result in a more consistent throttle application and ultimately some more power. They are also going to use the existing exhaust valve, but essentially they're going to tweak it so that it's opened up more, which is going to do two things. It's going to increase power, I'll get to that in a second, and it's also going to give you a better exhaust note, which we all like, a little bit better sound on our bikes. As far as the RPM limiter goes, they're going to increase your power band by 500 RPM. So instead of topping out at 12,000, it's going to top out at 12.5 to give you the full range of that band. And then the biggie in my book is these bikes come from the dealership with a fuel mapping that quite honestly is too rich. And so they're going to address that air-fuel ratio, and in doing so, give you a bike that's going to run a bit better. Now, those are the things that the Stage 1 flash is going to try to accomplish from Bren Tune. And what they claim is an 8% increase in horsepower across the RPM range, and they've dynoed this after they provide this tune for you. And most of that power, as I said, is going to come from their manipulation of the exhaust valve. So you can get better sound, but more power. Also, I have a feeling that that's why, or how, it's going to help in reducing the engine temperature. As I've said in earlier videos, this bike does tend to run a little bit on the warm side, particularly in the hot summer months. You'll kind of feel that on your legs, and so that would be a nice benefit. The increased RPM range is going to give you a longer power band, although I can't tell you how many times I really have my bike up around 12,000 RPM. I'm usually shifting somewhere around 11.5. I'm hitting it that hard. But if that's your thing, maybe you're on the track really ringing it out, that might be something important to you. My guess is if you are, you're probably going to go beyond a stage 1 flash. Then the air-fuel mixture. This is where my interest is really peaked, because as I've mentioned about the stalling issue with this 2020 S1000XR BMW, I talked about it last week. I linked to one of my videos before where I showed you a montage of how it was stalling. Again, I do not have that issue any longer, but I suspect that it might resurface in the summer when the temperatures get hot. Having this baby flashed and tuned, I think, is going to resolve that problem in its entirety. So that's kind of what really has me interested in possibly doing the Bren Tune Stage 1. That and also the reduced running temperature, I think, would be probably the biggest benefits. The extra power, the 8% increase, I don't need any more power on this bike. I don't honestly really consistently use the power that's on it. I mean, I do, but not to the extent that you're ringing it out much, because it's such a powerful engine. So that is not of great interest to me. Now, how does it work? Well, essentially, if you order the Bren Tune Stage 1 kit for this bike, I highly recommend that you go the route of getting the handheld or the diagnostic tool. If you don't, you're going to have some downtime by taking your ECU and sending it to Bren Tune, and that just seems like a waste of time when you can do it yourself and really have no downtime on your bike. So what's going to happen is you're going to buy the package, they're going to send it to you. You're going to take out everything, you're going to hook up the handheld to your computer. It needs to be a Windows platform. You're going to download the latest software from Bren Tune to make sure that the handheld is updated. You are then going to take that device, unplug it from your computer, plug it into your bike's ECU, download the latest software from your bike onto the handheld, then take that handheld, hook it back up to your laptop or computer, upload that file, and email it off to Bren Tune. They're going to ask you some basic questions about your bike, your riding style that you're going to want to answer really in detail and accurately, and then within 24 to 48 hours, they're going to email you the maps or the files. You're going to then download those files onto the handheld device that you ordered, take that handheld, reattach it to your ECU, select the appropriate map, upload it, and boom, you are flashed, and all those wonderful benefits that we went over are yours to enjoy for the low cost of $676 American. So I say low cost, kind of in jest. That's a fairly expensive modification for your bike, although I can think of worse modifications if in fact it comes as advertised, which if you read some happy clients on the interweb, whether that's on YouTube or some of the discussion boards and owners forum, folks who've had the Bren Tune done seem to be really happy with the results. So I am certainly interested in that. But some things that I've been considering that have, delayed me from doing this are as follows. First of all, anytime you start talking about flashing your ECU and doing any work on your bike, there's the potential to void your warranty. Now, there's all sorts of information out there on the internet. You get on an owner's forum and you're going to get tons of information, a lot of it misinformation. I called my dealer today. I talked to the service manager down at Bob's BMW, and asked him specifically, hey, you know that I've been having the stalling issue. It has not been an issue for me since last summer, but this is what I'm considering doing. Will this void my warranty? Direct response was, well, Josh, that's a gray area, and it really is going to come down to if you flash it and there's an issue later on with your bike, if it is tracked back to the mapping or the work that you did through flashing that, or any of the additional hardware that you may have put on your bike. Some folks are going to do a full exhaust system, headers, etc., so on and so forth. If they suspect that that's the reason why your bike failed, or the engine failed, or whatever insert the repair is, then yes, your warranty will be factually voided, and they will not cover the expense of the repair. This is super significant because you have no way of knowing what may or may not happen with your bike down the road. Now, you can say to yourself, well, because if you read Bren Tune, they're going to tell you, there's like a 5-page PDF, and it tells you to keep the stock map, and that's where if you have the handheld device, you will have the stock map on file. Anytime you go back down to the dealer, you can reflash your bike so it's back to factory settings. In theory, this should solve your problem. Bear in mind, however, on pretty much all modern bikes, they're going to be able to see how many times you flashed your bike. They're also going to know that they were not the ones flashing it in all likelihood, and it may raise some suspicions. All I'm saying is there is certainly the possibility that if you do this sort of tuning, it could void the warranty on your bike. I have paid, as I talked about earlier, for an extended warranty for up to 6 years on this bike, and I intend to get my money's worth out of it and certainly would not want to see that warranty voided. So that gives me some reservations about going through and doing this tune. Also, in having this conversation with the service manager, he informed me that BMW has just recently put out and will be putting out a bunch of TSBs, or technical service bulletins, for their dealer network. And he suspects that one of those is in relation to the very issue that I was talking about last week with stalling. And I'm sure it's a fuel mapping issue. I mean, as sure as I can be, not being a mechanic and not being overly mechanically inclined, but having ridden a bunch of bikes in my life, it certainly feels like a fuel mapping issue. So I have a suspicion that it's going to be something that is rather easily remedied through BMW themselves, and I'm happy to hear that, at least from the sounds of it, that they're getting it addressed and getting something out to dealers. So I asked him, what would you do in my situation? And he point blank told me, I know a lot of customers we have, a lot. He said, I know of a handful of customers, I think he said 4 or 5, who've recently done a tuning, and they're very, very satisfied with it. They're super happy with the results of that tuning. He did say, however, that should something come up with that, it is also very probable, or possible, I should say, not probable, possible, that it'll void their warranty. So I've already invested a lot of money into this bike, just because it's an expensive machine, and also I paid for the extended warranty for up to 6 years, and I'm not going to turn around and have that voided. So I'm going to wait to see what happens this summer with my bike, to see if the stalling continues, and if it does, I'm going to try to have that remedied through the shop. They're super easy to work with, at least on my end, and if at that time they can't remedy the problem, then I will probably go ahead and invest the nearly $700 and have Bren Tune send me their diagnostic, and I'll get that map installed. But time will tell on that. So I thought that was really interesting information from the dealership. And just the idea of doing a tune, I think, is great. It depends on what your needs are. For me, I'm certainly not looking for any more power, but if I can get the air-fuel mixture kind of fixed so that I think that would alleviate the stalling issue, that'd be fantastic. If it can help the bike sound a little bit better and run a little bit more efficiently, why not? I think those are all really positive things. I think it's a great modification to make to a motorcycle, but for me right now, in my specific situation, it doesn't make the most sense. But that's where I'm at on things. I'd be really interested in hearing your thoughts and what you think. I know I've got a lot of subscribers who share the BMW ownership experience, some of which have had some of the same difficulties I had this past summer with stalling. So it sounds like everyone who falls under that umbrella, help is on the way. You may want to check with your own local dealer and see what they have to tell you, but my shop manager or service manager told me that there are some TSBs being put out to dealers, and possibly even a recall potentially around some of these issues. So we're going to see what that looks like from the sounds of it here in another month or two, and at that time it should be getting properly hot, and we'll see how my bike's riding in the heat. So that's where things stand with TBRD and this S1000XR. Hopefully that was some good information for you to think about. I'm interested in your thoughts on the matter, so please consider leaving me a comment on what you think I should do, or what you would do in my situation, or what you're going to do in your own situation. Your feedback's always greatly appreciated. Like I said, I'd appreciate it if you haven't already done so. Please consider hitting that notification bell and subscribe button. As I like to say, until next time, keep the throttle back, rubber down, and enjoy the ride.